So for someone who's been through his own fat loss transformation, helped clients reach their fat loss goals, and help dozens of others with their fat loss problems, one thing that's a common reoccurring theme is expectations with the scale. Let me tell you what I mean. So let's say you're in a deficit, doesn't matter what diet you're doing, intermittent fasting, paleo, keto, doesn't matter. You're in a deficit, 3,500 calories a week, give or take, 500 calories a day, give or take, because the math isn't perfect. And you're doing this for a week, you're like, okay, I've done this for a week, the scale should drop a pound, no problem. You wake up the next day, scale's up a pound. You're like, what the hell? I've done everything perfect, what's going on here? Why is this not working? So you give it another week, same thing happens. You're like, okay, I've done this 2 weeks, I'm on point, I've done everything perfect. The scale should drop 2 pounds. You hop on the scale at the end of week 2, scale's still up a pound. By this point, you're probably pissed and frustrated, and disappointed, and unmotivated now to keep going in this process because you're like, oh, well, I'm doing everything perfect, the scale's not moving. What the hell's going on? This is the exact problem that so many people are having year after year, spring and summer after summer, because they can't disconnect their actions from what the scale says. And the more you have expectations out of what the scale is going to say or should say, the harder their journey is going to be. Instead of focusing on what you think the scale should say after a perfect day or what have you, put your energy into the habits and decisions you're making every single day that matter way more than what that scale says at the end of the week or end of 2 weeks. Are you sleeping enough? Are you hydrated? Are you getting enough protein? Are you performing in your workouts? Are you progressing in your workouts? Are you recovering from your workouts? Do you have a rest day? Do you have any time off? All of these things matter more than what the scale says, not to mention how you feel in your own clothes and your own body. If you're feeling better about yourself, your clothes are fitting better, and the scale still hasn't really moved much, who's to say you're not making progress, right? The scale is a data tool to use throughout the journey. And the less emphasis you put on it, the less expectations you have around it, it's going to make the journey that much easier. Because you can be doing everything perfect by the book and by the numbers, and the scale doesn't give a fuck because it's going to do whatever it does because the body's always in flux anyways. You can only control so much. You cannot control what the scale is going to say at the end of the day, nor should you really care too much about what it says. All right? Try not to celebrate drops too much. That way when the scale rises and spikes, because it will, you're not as affected by it. You're kind of just even keel. You're still doing your thing. You're still getting your habits done properly. Everything's on point, regardless of what the scale says. That's way more important than expecting it to go down a couple pounds because you've been perfect. And then when it doesn't, you have a little freak out. And then that's when people normally quit. So to have an easier time losing weight, losing body fat this year, feeling better about yourself, getting in great shape, use the scale as a tool or don't use it at all. If you're expecting the scale to do something, you're setting yourself up for a loss. You're making the journey much harder. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get upset, and you're more likely to just give up because the scale's not adhering to what you think it should. All right? So do your best. Don't expect anything from the scale. Just focus on the daily habits that are going to bring you the results anyway. And that's it. Make the journey easier for yourself.